Hi there, Andrew Hemming from andrewhemming.com and healthandfitnessalliance.com. I want to look today at the topic of squatting right for your body type. And just looking at this idea of how do we select the best way to squat and the best squatting style, or best squatting version, sorry, for your particular body type. And so one of the things we see if we look at different individuals is that we're proportioned differently. And so for example, I got two finely drawn people at the bottom here. You can see that some people will have a relatively short torso and they'll have longer arms and legs. Other people will have a much longer torso and shorter arms and legs. Okay? One of the things that's interesting is that, say in the context of training, is that most good lifters, regardless of their height, will have proportions more like this. Okay? However, most good, like team sport athletes, for example, will have proportions more like this. And so it's important to note, if you're an athlete or you're working with athletes, what is the appropriate, just recognizing these different structures. And so again, we tend to want to always train athletes exactly the way we train lifters, and that sometimes is a mistake. And so what we want to look at doing is look at this a little bit and how this factors into the squat itself. Because the squat is obviously an exercise that can be tremendously beneficial for improving athletic performance, improving strength, building lean muscle, burning body fat, being very, very time efficient. It's a wonderful exercise, but we need to look at a couple of things. So with this here, we're going to make the assumption that we're looking at doing like a full range of motion squat, not necessarily like a complete, butt right to the floor type thing, but looking at least kind of getting as minimal standard, getting the upper thigh to break parallel to the ground. And this is really important for a good overall development, strength through a full range of motion, decreasing the risk of injury, and this is a topic that needs to be expanded on at another time. Everything we're going to assume is that we're trying to keep a neutral spine. So in other words, we don't want to allow rounding to happen in the lower back here. Now what we see here with these different body types is that the squat's going to look very different, especially if you're viewing it from the side here. And so this taller, the short torso, long-limbed individual, what's going to happen is when they're squatting, they're going to have quite a bit of forward lean. Okay, and so there's no way that an individual like this can be upright when they squat. And the reason for that is that if they were here and they put a bar on their back, the weight is going to fall here, which is, as you can see, way behind the foot. And the foot is basically representing our base of support. And so I have to have the weight over that base of support to be able to do that movement. And so if I get rid of this position here, what can happen sometimes is if a short torso, long-limbed lifter chooses to do a barbell back squat, what oftentimes happens is that they have to be quite far forward leaned, as in this diagram here, because the barbell is going to be, the barbell will kind of be here, and so as a result we need that in a position where it will line up over the feet. Okay. Now with an individual that has shorter limbs and a longer torso, what happens is that you can see this distance here at the femur is greatly reduced, and also because of this longer femur here, they can have a barbell sitting on their back here, and it still falls very nicely within the base of support here. And so it gives them a tremendous advantage. And so some of the things to note with this is that this individual obviously will be more suited to back squatting. Okay? And so both individuals, assuming they have decent flexibility and stability through a full range of motion, they can do a full squat. But this individual is obviously going to look different than this. And so if you want a pretty looking squat, the longer torso lifter will definitely have that advantage. Now, this is one of the reasons that the back squat, although it is a fantastic exercise, may not be the absolute best option for most people. And so if we go back to this illustration here, we can kind of change things a little bit by selecting a different squat variation. And so one of the options that we have here is to select a version where we bring the bar to the front. Okay, and so this could be, for example, a front squat, so we're carrying the bar up on the shoulders here. There's another one called the Zercher squat, named after a guy named Ed Zercher, where you hold the bar in the crook of your elbows there. Definitely not a super comfortable lift, but oftentimes a very forgiving lift for people that have not as good squat structure. Or the other option is a safety squat bar where we have the weight kind of cambered forward a little bit and we have kind of a yoke pad. And these options what they allow us to do is they allow us to bring the weight in front of the individual instead of behind, and so it allows the torso to be a little bit more upright, so it becomes more of a squat instead of just being like a good morning exercise. And with the weight here, again, we can keep that weight in our center, our base of support there, and line things up well. Okay, and so what I tend to do with if I'm programming. If I'm writing a program for a team of athletes, when it comes to the squat, I'll often list a variety of different versions. And one of the key things I'm wanting athletes to do with this is to select based on their body type. So kind of our rule of thumb is that if you can back squat, okay, in other words, you can break parallel, you can maintain a neutral spine, then it's definitely an option for you. Okay. However, if trying to get down is causing excessive forward lean, the bar is coming over the feet, the low back is rounding, you're not getting to the spot where the upper thigh is breaking parallel, then going to one of those other versions, the front squat, the Zercher squat, the safety bar squat, all of these options will make it a little bit more forgiving if you have less than an ideal squat structure. And again, like I said, this structure here is fantastic for a lot of athletic performance, but it means we may want to modify things in the gym. So this is just an example of this idea of looking at an individual body type and then adjusting our exercise according to this. If you're looking for more information on this, I run a workshop called Train Right for Your Body Type, where we look at numerous different factors that relate to body types, proportions, structural differences, and how do we accommodate that with program design and with exercise selection. And so if you're interested in that, you can find out more information on my blog at andrewhemming.com. It's also advertising for sale at www.healthandfitnessalliance.com. The next workshop I have on this topic is coming up on August 29th, which is a Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 9:30 in Burnaby, BC. So if you have any more questions, let me know. All the best. Take care.